Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gavin Reshaw Presents. Hope all is well. I'm actually here in Cincinnati. Thank you for joining me on my channel, GBoot2786. I want to get right into it. This was disturbing me over the weekend that I saw this story. It's been circulating all on the news and everywhere on social media about the young man who was a wrestler, black wrestler, that was forced to cut his hair prior to his match, a championship match. According to the ReutersNews.com, a referee named Alan Maloney, who is white, apparently had ordered Johnson to cut off his hair, according to local media reports. The clip went viral on Friday, with many social media users condemning the school for allowing Maloney to make the order, calling it racist and discriminatory. Maloney was suspended after the video was shown that he had forced the young man to cut his hair, or else he would forfeit the match. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, who's a Democrat, stated he was deeply disturbed that Andrew Johnson, a student at Buena Regional High School, was forced to choose between keeping his dreadlocks and competing in a wrestling match. No student should have to needlessly choose between his or her identity and playing sports. Now, they have suspended the referee, which really doesn't do shit. Obviously, as Tariq Nasheed stated in his on his website, and you've heard Tariq talk about this, white supremacists don't get fired, they get transferred. I'm pretty sure this man will get another job later on. Referees, these are side hustles that they do anyway, so it's not like he's gonna be living on the streets as a result of this. Referees, and very famously, boxing referees, they have other jobs. Like Mills Lane was a judge for 20-something years. Mills Lane is famous for refereeing the Mike Tyson Evander Holyfield fight. I believe Richard Steele, who's famous for all of his short stoppages, he's an ordained minister. So this is something that these guys do on the side. Jordan Burroughs. Now, here's very interesting. Jordan Burroughs, who is an Olympic championship wrestler, condemned Johnson on Twitter for cutting his hair to win his match for the team, but expressed his anger over the referee's order, calling it sickening, racist, and abuse of power. Now, I don't think this young man is at fault for doing this as much as the adults that are around him. And I want to show you this picture. Now, if you've seen this video, I was playing it earlier, but I had to cut it off. Let me just show you all right quick. If you've seen this video and the picture, you see right there, this white woman. Hold on, guys, it's on an ad.
Features.
Safety features are the key to happiness.
Or get tubular in the Honda Ridgeline. It has this lockable in-bed trunk.
You mean pizza compartment?
Ugh, so full. Get something you'll love during Happy Honda Days.
Updating a story for you here. Say they're going to investigate why a varsity wrestler was forced to choose between his hair or a wrestling match. Video taken Wednesday shows the athlete, Buena Regional High School student Andrew Johnson.
Hold on, let me pause it and rewind it
Getting
back.
an impromptu hair. Andrew Johnson.
Now I want you to look at this video.
Wednesday shows the
Okay?
athlete, Buena.
There's no black people other than the young brother who had his hair cut standing around him. No teachers, no students. All of his teammates are white. They're coming up to him right over here. They're gonna dap him off. And you see the man right in the corner. Obviously, he's with the school. Well, I don't know if he's with the school exactly, but he's sitting on the wall. Obviously, he's an observer, so I shouldn't say he's with the school. But she just grabs these large pairs of shears, starts cutting his hair, and doing cutting it real bad.
An ultimatum given to him by the referee. Johnson went on to win his match. That's him in the yellow. The rules prohibit hair of a certain length, but some people believe the request was racially motivated. The New Jersey Division on Civil Rights is investigating, as well as the state's Interscholastic Athletic Association. The ref involved will not be assigned to another match until this investigation is complete.
Now, they said that he made the decision to cut his own hair. He made the decision so he wouldn't forfeit the match. But, you know, he didn't make that decision. He was put between a rock and a hard place when he made this supposedly made this call. So he didn't decide this out of free will. And let me say, the adults in this case, the teachers that were around him, his coaches, the staff, the assistant coaches, they all failed this young man. And a matter of fact, black people in general, we have, and even his parents have failed this young man and our younger generation. Now, why am I saying that? We have never really told our children exactly how to stand up for themselves when they're dealing with situations like this. Now, of course, things happen, you know, when it's so sudden and you get terrified and you don't know what to do. But, you know, we've turned the blind when we see things like this. This was emasculation to me of this young man. This was more than just about, this wasn't about his hair. It was about racism, but it was also emasculation of the young black male. Because like the lion has his mane, and when you shave the lion's mane, now it's still a lion, but obviously he doesn't look the same without it. You know, it was just to do this in front of everyone. Now, I'm pretty sure before the wrestling match, they get the chance to speak with the referee and go over the rules, just like in a boxing fight. You know, obviously they talk to him about the rules beforehand, you know, what they expect and how to have a clean fight. So, I'm just assuming that I'm not a wrestling expert, but, you know, apparently they said he could have worn a cap, but he never had this incident, I don't believe, before, because obviously his hair wasn't cut then. So, what we've seen, what we deal with, what this child dealt with, is something that, while we don't like to talk about it often, we have to address it. It was very clear that this was a racially motivated incident. This referee has had a history of making apparently racial slurs. In 2016, he admitted he called a fellow colleague a nigger. But we don't teach our children. I don't believe we have properly taught them and how and what to do when they experience things like this. This is proof of the system of racism and white supremacy that we live in. When you look at that video and you willingly see that trainer cut this boy's hair off, when you see the coaches standing by and not saying anything and not intervening, and they weren't, and I don't expect them to intervene because they're white. They don't go through what we go through. They don't have the identity crisis, the things that we have had to go through, our ancestors went through. They can't identify with that. They've never had to deal with living with the ghost of a racist past, the ghost of the Ku Klux Klan living over their head. They never had to deal with Jim Crow laws. They never had to deal with, you know, being put in separate bathrooms. They never had to deal with the threats of lynching, of armed violence for trying to vote, of multiple things. You know, this should not have happened. And we should teach our children that no game, no event, no match, which is just for entertainment purposes, it's not going to determine your career. You know, of course, there's in some situations or most situations we see basketball and football and kids who play because they want to make a career out of it. But was this worth your identity? Was it worth your freedom of expression? Was it worth your humanity, your masculinity, your dignity. And we don't teach our children that importance. We have failed. I don't know his parents. I don't know his family. So when I'm saying this, I'm saying this from the perspective that there had to be something. I don't think there is. I don't know if he was taught this. Did we? What? I don't know if he has a father in the home. I'm not judging them, but I did read what the mother of the boy said. And guys, I may be beating around the bush with this, so forgive me. But it was just a failure of. It was a failure on the part of the adults in this entire matter. Period. The coaches, the staff, they all should have intervened and said something. Had I been this young child's father, even if I wasn't his father, I'm just upset looking at the video. I feel sorry for him. I feel disgusted that happened. To have your hair cut and to be embarrassed like that in front of, hundreds of people and millions of people now that it's on the internet, because I believe it's been viewed over 10 million times. When the governor of New Jersey can comment on it and voice his outrage, there's a problem. But this was emasculation. And excuse me. And yes, I feel the adults, the teachers, and to a degree, parents failed. I mean, they probably weren't there as mom and dad, so maybe they would have said something, possibly. Okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that. But these kids, they go to these suburban schools, I'm just being real, especially they're predominantly white. They do not understand the history of racial prejudice and bigotry that black people go through in this country. And our hair is symbolic of our identity. Back in the 70s when you had the afros, and then later on, late 70s and 90s, you saw the beautiful black women who were wearing braids and dreads, and then you had someone like Bo Derek who wore braids in the movie 10, and all of a sudden braids were popular. And before Kim Kardashian and Jennifer Lopez, you had black women with big butts, but they were called fat. But then when J-Lo and Kim Kardashian come out with it, everybody's gonna say, oh, big butts are in fashion and style, when it's always been black people who have had this. So our identity, our cultural identity, is very important to us. And there's no game, there's no money, there's nothing worth your humanity, there's nothing worth your masculinity, young boys. And this should serve as a valuable lesson for all of you that have seen this. And even for us parents, when we see things like that, we ought to step up. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to keep beating around the bush. It's been 13 minutes when I'm talking about this. And forgive me if I was rambling, trying to get my train of thought. But I wanted to talk about this. I was just aggravated at what I saw, for that young man. And, I hope that his parents, they ought to raise holy hell about it. Probably think about taking him out of the school and going somewhere where he's respected. Because this was wrong. That's just me. But anyway, guys, that's it for me. You all have a great Christmas and you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm out.